17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. Attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
Playing on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about what happens when a prospect wants to leave the club and they go to retrieve their patches and they find resistance. Before we get started, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate every single person that comes in to watch this show. And I know there's some that watch and can't comment. Well, you did that to yourself. So thank you for putting yourself in that situation. But anyway, Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Mark, what's going on? Mark said, can't end well for the prospect. Well, it didn't end well for any of them, anyone involved, because someone gets shot and the other people go to jail. So it really doesn't work out for anyone. I don't think in this day and age, you can't strong arm stuff from other people, whether it's yours or not. Look what happened to O.J. Simpson, right? Remember? He owned that stuff that was in that hotel room. He went to go get it, and he ends up going to jail for a long time. I think they held that other case against him, and that's the reason why he did so much time. But you just can't do that type of stuff, you know? I mean, what do you do if they won't give it back? They don't want to give in their cuts or whatever happened. But we're going to get into that story today, and we're going to talk about some other news that's going on. So there's been a bunch of plane crashes. I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's been like, I think 70 plane crashes this year. Things are like going haywire. And another plane just crashed in the San Francisco Bay. And it's a jet. Let's take a look at that video. It's insane. Crazy. Both pilots were okay. Now, this is another video of another jet. And this jet is owned by Motley Crue lead singer Vince Neil. It crashes into a parked plane after it lands in Texas. Or video surveillance shows a Learjet from Texas landing in Scottsdale Municipal Airport in Arizona when it veered off the runway and crashed into a larger Gulfstream business jet parked nearby. And this is insane too. Watch this video. So there it is when it first lands. It skids off the runway. And bam, that shit could have been a lot worse. 70 jets or planes have crashed this year. And that's why I will never, ever go on an airplane. Ever in my life. will never happen. You couldn't pay me. I've been offered thousands of dollars to take airplanes. Lindsay said, it's crazy. My boyfriend keeps me informed and was telling me about these crashes. Seems like a smart guy. So, and then there was another plane crash in, I believe it was in Connecticut. It was a small little Cessna, but there has been 70 plane crashes. Absolutely not. I ain't getting on no plane. I don't care. I've been offered thousands of dollars. I'm talking like one time I got offered $8,000 to go on a plane. I said, no, ain't doing it. It's not going to happen. But anyway, let's get to the story today. Today we're talking about a prospect who had a falling out with the club over patches. Now, you guys know when you're a part of any of these motorcycle clubs, they own the patches. There's not ever a time when they don't own the patches. They are always owned by the club. Now, in the future, I'm going to be doing a show where we talk about what you guys think about our Outlaw Archives. That's the guy who buys like patches and videos and different things off of people, and he collects them for like history purposes. But these patches are owned by the clubs. Like the clubs have sole right to all of these items, whether it's patches or cuts. They got different type of things like rings and necklaces and all kinds of things with their logo on it. Anything with their logo on it is owned by the club. And I want to know what you guys think about our Outlaw Archives buying this stuff from private people who have it still and displaying it. I want to know what your thoughts are on that, but we're going to get to that down the road. Now, this story has to do with the Bandidos. So it says, 2 men were arrested in connection with a West Side shooting linked to an outlaw motorcycle gang. The suspects shot a man when they went to his home to collect property. Now, this is according to the arrest warrant. Now, these 2 men are the guys who went over there. San Antonio, Texas. 2 men with alleged ties to the Bandidos Motorcycle Club have been arrested in connection with a shooting last month on the far east side, or the far west side, police said. Guillermo, Reyes, and Jose Herrada were accused of shooting a 45-year-old man on January 14th during a confrontation at his home at the 1900 block of Desert Willow near Loop 410 in Marbach Road. According to the arrest warrant, the suspects arrived at the home to collect property from the victim, whom they had known through their affiliation with the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. However, when the victim refused to comply with their demands, the situation quickly escalated into an argument. Investigators say both Reyes and Herrada pulled out firearms and began shooting. So they both pulled out firearms, according to this. And they began shooting, striking the victim in the leg. In an attempt to defend himself, the victim also fired his own weapon at the suspects, though they managed to flee the scene before law enforcement arrived. After weeks of an investigation, authorities tracked down Reyes and Herrada, arresting them this week. Both suspects are now facing aggravated assault with a deadly weapon charges. Police have not disclosed further details about the property dispute, and it remains under investigation. I want to know what your thoughts are. Now, if someone is in one of these clubs, do you think they have the right to keep the patches? Say they were a part of this club for 20 years. Do you think they should be able to keep the patches? Or if they retire? Sometimes when they retire, people keep their patches. But I did the interview with Brandon, and he said that there is no retirement with the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. Go check out the interview I did with Brandon. It's pretty detailed. But let's take a look at the newscast about this situation.
Story this half hour. Two men who police say are connected to an outlaw motorcycle gang have been arrested in connection to a shooting last month at a home on the far west side. Take a look. Guillermo Reyes and Jose Herrada are accused of shooting a 40.
Herrada, that's how you say Herrada. Joe Blunts, how are you? Thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
5-year-old man on January 14th. Police say the two suspects went to a home off the 1900 block of Desert Willow, that's near 410 in Marbach, to collect property from the
Look at all these cops. Now look at all these cops. That's a lot of cops. Whenever one of these clubs is involved, they use a lot of law enforcement. And I don't know, you don't know when they found out that it was a part of a motorcycle club situation. Here, let me bring it back.
Our top story this half hour. Two men who police say are connected to an outlaw motorcycle gang have been arrested in connection to a shooting last month at a home on the far west side. Take a look. Guillermo Reyes and Jose Herrada are accused of shooting a 45-year-old man on January 14th. Police say the two suspects went to a home off the 1900 block of Desert Willow, that's near 410 in Marbach, to collect property from the victim. Well, according to an arrest warrant, the victim knew the suspects from their time in the Bandidos Motorcycle Club. Investigators say the victim wasn't cooperating with those suspects' demands, and they started arguing when Reyes and Herrada both pulled out guns and fired off rounds toward the victim, hitting him once in the leg. The victim also had a gun, police say, and shot towards those two suspects, but they were able to get away. Both were arrested this week and are facing an aggravated assault charge.
Mark says, if you aren't a member, you shouldn't possess any patches belonging to that club. Hey, Outlaw Archives owns a lot of patches. Like, they own patches from every club out there, from Hells Angels to Mongols to Vagos. I believe they have Bandito patches. They have Pagan Cuts. They have like almost every motorcycle club. They have Silent, Sons of Silence. They have a lot of different clubs patches. They were in personal collections of people who retired and passed away, and their family sold them to him. Or now, what do you think? Do you think he should give all that stuff to each club? But we're going to get into that at a later date. I wanted to bring this story to you guys. There's a lot more content on the way. And I got a funny video to play for you guys. It's pretty funny, I think. Shout out to Pee Wee if you haven't seen the new interview he did on Stucky Media, STUCCI Media. It's a pretty good interview. Go check it out. I'm going to put a link for the interview I did with Brandon, so you guys can go check that out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna drop the full interview tonight at 10 o'clock. So if you guys want to see the full interview with Brandon, I'm going to have it tonight at 10 o'clock. Because I know a lot of people don't like to watch it in pieces. But if you want to see full interviews without any interruptions and join the membership, it's only a couple dollars, and it's worth it. I think it's well worth it. Or Patreon. Go check out Patreon. I have a lot of exclusive content over there. But I will be dropping the full interview tonight with Brandon. Or you can join Patreon and see it right now. Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate that. I just put up new content on Patreon today, and I put up new content on the members only. So go check it out. I have an interview I did with the stewardess, or she's a flight attendant. Carney's Ride, what's going on? Thank you for joining me. She's a flight attendant from a plane that was hijacked in 1972. American Airlines was hijacked. And I interviewed the hijacker, and I interviewed the flight attendant that was hijacked. So there is an interview I have with both of them, but I have another one where they're both separate. So I dropped the one with the flight attendant first, and I'll drop the one with him solo next. His name's Martin McNally. He mimicked D.B. Cooper, and he got away with $200,000. He told them he wanted parachutes, and they gave them to him, and he bailed out of the plane with the parachutes in him and a backpack of money. But when he bailed out of the plane, the wind took the money and flung it. So he didn't come off with any money. He lost the money as he jumped out of the plane. And he tells me the whole story. But she tells me the other side of the story about how she got hijacked. But anyway, before we get to that, I'll play a clip of that. But let's check out this funny video. There are a bunch of motorcycle dirt bikers and people on quads messing with the cops. This dude gets all pissed off. Watch this. He pushes them over. But people start swarming them. They start swarming them, right? Watch what they do. They kick the cop car. And they get away. They get away. They're kicking the cop car. You think this cop's gonna ram somebody. What do you do? You walk outside and you see that. You see your dog doing this on your bike. What do? You bring him to the vet. Yo, look at this. Watch this. Make sure you guys go subscribe. Go to Instagram and check out rowdybangers.us. Rowdy Bangers. Go check out his videos. Now watch this. They're driving down the highway, and watch how reckless these dudes are riding. Like, come on, man. Like, you ain't giving this dude no room. Uh-oh, and the confrontation starts.
Hey, hell no, you ain't gonna tell me shit.
Look, I got kids in my mother.
Did you see what the fuck you just said to me? I got that shit on goddamn camera.
I don't care.
No, bullshit.
Oh, right before it. Yeah, that dog be getting put down. That dog be getting put down like old Yeller. You're damn right. Here, let's take a look at a clip from the video with the flight attendant. It's pretty good. Now, coming up this coming week, I got a lot of good shows. Another thing, if you guys haven't heard, the Mafia has done a crazy crackdown out in Italy. Palermo, the Mafia has made over 183 arrests. It's one of the biggest Mafia takedowns since, I think it was in the 80s. There was a pretty big one, but this one's huge. 183 people charged with all kinds of different crimes, and we're going to get into that maybe Saturday or maybe Monday. I have a lot to do this weekend.
Sharon Matteo, and I was the flight attendant with American Airlines, Flight 119, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Sharon Matteo. Hello.
Hello, Bill.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Now, this is a flight attendant from American Airlines. It was hijacked by Martin McNally, and he came in there with a gun and a briefcase, pulled it out, told everyone this is a hijacking, and he let the women and children get off the plane. He kept the men on the plane, told them that he flew around from a couple different airports while they could get the money up. They got $200,000, $250,000, and parachutes. He had them take the plane back up, and he bailed out with the money and the parachutes, and he lived. And I interviewed him too. So that interview is going to be dropping in its entirety very soon. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time.
You're welcome.
You have a pretty incredible story. You just had an anniversary of the situation that happened to you.
Yes, 52 years.
That's pretty wild. The whole situation is wild.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing I want to ask you is, where were you born and raised?
Oh, well, how long is your tape? I was born in Canada, moved to Florida when I was 7. We moved to California 3 years later, and then up to Oregon.
I'll fast forward a little bit.
And there's the 2 lavatories, and then on the left side is the galley. Across from the galley is a wide expanse because there's an emergency door. But between the lavatory and that wide expanse are 2 rows with 3 seats each, so 6 seats. And there was a family there, and he did kick them out, and they moved further up. We weren't totally full. Like, I can't remember exactly, about 90 people or something, but so they moved further up.
Can you see the gun?
Oh, yeah.
Is he pointing? Is he like
No.
pointing?
He always kept it up. Yeah.
But it was definitely visible.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
He
He knew what was going on.
Were other passengers noticing this?
Well, the family back here knew. But if you were facing forward, no, you wouldn't have known.
Stay tuned. That one's dropping. It's in members only. If you want to check it out, go subscribe to members only. It's only a couple dollars. Or go check it out on Patreon. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch this show. I got a lot of great interviews dropping. Don't forget, 9 o'clock is part 4, I believe, with Paul Manning, the undercover with the Hells Angels and the Mafia up in Canada. It's a great show and a lot more content on the way. If you like this stuff, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.